Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Katja. I am the host of Creative Mornings Munich, and I'm very happy to see so many of you joining us here today. As you know, the times are special, so we are very happy to see that you still decided to come, and we're very grateful to see as well that you are taking care of yourself with the distances between each other when you're talking, not coughing, and things like this. So thank you so much for making sure that we can run this event in the best of the conditions. I always like to start this by asking people, for whom is it the first time to attend Creative Mornings Munich session? With a show of hands. Okay, welcome. So we're always super happy to have new people join us. And for all those who are the regulars already, welcome back. We are going to talk about identity today, and it's an incredible topic. We have a great speaker coming up as well, but before we go into the talk itself, I just want to say a few words about Creative Mornings for those who don't know it yet. And namely, so Creative Mornings is a morning breakfast talk lecture session. And it is taking place all around the world in over 200 cities, 200 chapters. So I always encourage people, whenever they travel, to actually go and look on Creative Mornings webpage to see if there is any event happening in the place that they're traveling to. So don't hesitate to have a look at other chapters around the world. And basically the principle is that every month, all the chapters around the world speak on this one topic. So this month's topic is identity. So if you're really passionate about the topic and you're curious to see how some other chapters around the world have tackled it, you can also go on the webpage, creativemornings.com, and see other talks and get some more inspiration, because all the talks are filmed so that we can spread the word and spread the creativity even further. We're present in over 60 countries, and we have a lot of people coming every month to the event. Not to say that we're always happy to see any new faces, so for next sessions, do make sure that you spread the word, you invite your friends to come over so that we can keep growing our creative community. Today, I would like to say big thanks to Design Offices, who are our biggest partner for this event. So they have been so nice as to sponsor us with this beautiful location, breakfast, and as well as you can see, there are the goodie bags that I will come back into a second. I need to say a big thanks as well to Spinning Wheel, to Marco, to Nico, to Tina for taking photos of the event, for filming the event, because without them, it wouldn't have been possible to spread the event even further. And even for those who weren't able to join us today, they will be able to actually catch up in about 2-3 weeks when the video is out. So big thank you, guys. Now, I would like to say thanks as well to our global sponsors, so Mailchimp and WordPress, because those are the tools that are enabling us to actually spread the word about our events. And I'm very happy as well to announce that we, as the global community, so Creative Mornings around the world, we just got a very new partner, Basecamp, that is actually a project management tool. And they joined the board, so they joined Mailchimp and WordPress to support us with the organization of our events. And we actually have a little surprise for you all, guys. So Basecamp, if you don't know it yet, make sure to check it out. They are offering 6 months free membership to any one of you if you take your picture of yourself or of the session today and you mail it to this email. It's a really cool tool that we in the team are going to start using. We have just, it was very new to us. We didn't know it before. But the more we were learning about it, the more we were researching, the more we realized that this is definitely the tool that we would be happy to use. So in case you want to try it out, you have to take a picture of the event, email it here, and they will send you the membership code for 6 months. Now, this is the team of Creative Mornings. You can spot us easily with our tags. If you have any kind of questions about this event, about Creative Mornings in general, if you know a great location that could host any of our future events, do reach out to us. We're always looking for videographers and photographers to join the team. So in case you know anyone, or in case you would be the photographer or videographer, also we would be happy to hear from you. If you want to spread the word about this event, and we would be very grateful if you did so, those are the hashtags or the tags that we would encourage you to use. There are several. If you need to use one, use the Creative Mornings Munich. And if you do any kind of Insta stories and so on, please make sure that you tag us so that we can repost your stories and spread the word to the more community. Now, without further ado, so I also wanted to say big thanks to the sponsors of the Goodie bags. So the bags that you have here, they were provided by design offices, and inside you can find two great design magazines. One is the Nomad magazine by Have Design, and another one is Novum, which is one of the best design magazines in Europe as well. So do have a look at this. We were really happy to be able to actually give you something extra at this event and spread the excitement even further. Now, with no further ado, the topic of the month is identity, and I would like to invite Timo.
Speed networking.
Oh, I will say about this. So I would like to invite Timo to join me on the stage. He's going to talk to you about the identity and hopefully inspire you. And what we would like to talk about as well is that after the event, we would like to organize a mini speed networking session. It's a really cool way to put whatever we will hear in the talk of Timo, to put it in practice, to discuss in a more structured way. So if we want to hold this for 30 minutes after the event, we would be super happy to do that. However, we would need at least 10 people for us to actually organize this. So take some time during the talk, and if you feel like it, at the end of the talk, we will ask the question again. And if we have at least 10 people, then we would be happy to hold the speed networking session. And now, so with no further ado, Timo, he is a really exciting person to talk about this topic. He is from Canada, but has moved around places. He has worked in many different areas, but there has always been this one thing that is kind of overarching whatever he is doing, and it is the questions of psychology, identity as well, very heavily. It's a topic that he's very passionate about. So we think he's the perfect speaker for today's event. So I'm very grateful, Timo, for you to be here, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Everyone hears me? Yes? Lovely. Well, first we just need to switch this out to mine. Wonderful, we're ready. So, end of the week. We made it. Everyone's okay? Healthy? Mostly? Yes? Sober? Close enough. Chaotic times. Very strange. I know it's a learning experience for a lot of people. I actually just learned something new this morning. The entire week I've been doing this WHO elbow bump instead of the handshake. I just learned a new one. It's the foot handshake. It was taught to me by Alisa. Yeah, kind of an interesting one. Can I show you? Like this, and then back like that. Can I do one over here? Yeah. Good. One more?
Of course.
There you go. Take 2 quick seconds. Do it to the person next to you. It feels good. It really does. Go. Do it. Do it. Do it. There, we're doing it. We're laughing. We're happy. Some of it's nervous laughter. That's to be expected. That's okay. Yeah. So interesting, chaotic times. Perfect time to start talking about who you are. Start to think about the types of person that you are, type of people around you. So this is what our talk is about. It's about identity. Specifically, we'll get into identity architecture and methodology, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And this will be our journey for today. So first, here in the black section, instead of telling you exactly what this is all about, first we're going to kind of show you. That way you get a feeling for it, you get an idea for what it is before we get into the blues, which is a little bit more theoretical. We won't stay too long in the theoretical side, but it's good for you to know. And then in the greens, we'll get to a more entertaining story, something about how I used identity architecture in the real world for a campaign. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to start with who I am, because my identity is the one that I know the most about, presumably. So, as Katja said, I am Canadian, and I grew up in small town Canada. It's a very large part of my identity. Now, when people think of Canada, this is usually what people think of. Cold, dark, windswept tundra, nothing but snow. People think of the igloos that we live in. We don't. They think of the dog sleds we use to get to and from work, to and from school. I've never been in one, but I'm sure they're lovely. They think about the polar bears that come running after us on our daily commute while we desperately try to protect our baby penguin pets. Now, some of the nerdier people in the room, I can already hear you thinking. I can hear you thinking to yourself, wait, penguins are in the South Pole and polar bears are in the North Pole. So how is this possible? And if that's all you get from this picture, you need to turn on your funny button, because this is objectively hilarious. And it was my wife's idea. So, no, we don't have that. In fact, a more accurate portrayal about how I grew up is this. Look at that chubby little guy. Look how happy he is with his little sunfish. I grew up by the lake in small town Canada, learning to fish, learning to water ski, climbing rocks, swimming all the time, helping my parents out by being cute, and also by drawing water from an underground well. That's right, we actually had to pump our water, but just at the cottage. We actually had a house that had running water. Yeah, those were my hobbies. That and trying to out-cute my sister at any chance I could get, which I feel like I accomplished, at least in this picture. Yeah. But as I got a little bit older, we started into something that was really important to my family, sports. Now, the ice hockey stereotype of Canadians is absolutely true. I lived and breathed ice hockey. My whole family were ice hockey people. And it became a very large part of who I was. That and other sports. I played soccer, basketball, but ice hockey was a big part of it. And because of that, I became more of an athlete. I really took that into my identity. And this is something that we're going to come back to a lot. This is the main takeaway I want you to think about when you think about this talk later. The things you do make you the person that you are. It's not the only thing that makes you the person you are, but it is a very large part. Okay, so remember that. The things you do make you who you are. So the more I did sports, the more I thought of myself as an athlete, the more I wanted to do sports. Then as I got into my teenage years, I started doing some volunteering. The first was at a place called Windfall Ecology Center. It was a small environmental organization in my hometown. I don't remember how I started volunteering for them, but I got into it, I liked it, I kept doing it more. They introduced me to the people at Water for Tomorrow, who were a water efficiency organization, and I started working for them, helping them to create campaigns. They introduced me to the City of Toronto Water. So officially, I did campaigns for the 2 years after I left university for City of Toronto Water. And that's where I first got introduced to the idea of using identities as a tool. And it grew, and it became a very large part of my identity. I became an environmentalist, and that became part of who I was, and I wanted to do more of it. So now, after I finished my first 2 years at Toronto Water, adventure called. I always knew I wanted to leave Canada. So I left, came to Germany. I did a minor in German studies, so I figured I should come, practice the language. I lived in a small town called Lippstadt in Northern Westfalen. And when I was there, I was a foreign language assistant teaching English at a Gesamtschule. But also, I was completely immersed in German. So I really only spoke German the entire year that I was there. And because of that, I started to think of myself more as a languages person, which I had never thought of myself before. I hated French when we had to take it in school. And then when I visited France the first time and saw that people actually spoke this language, I started to get it. So it became a large part of who I was. But After my first year in Germany, I wanted more adventure. I wanted to culture shock myself, to really see what I was capable of. Some friends of mine had lived in Taiwan before. They still had friends there, easy network. I moved to Taiwan with the aim of learning Chinese Mandarin. And while I was there, for 5 years, I taught English to little kids, and I learned Chinese. And now, I don't want to say I'm fluent in Chinese, but I'm okay. I'm good enough. I can order my rice. Everything's fine. I can tell them not to put shrimp in it, and then they still put shrimp in it. Yeah. So this became a large part of who I was, a linguist. Somebody who likes languages, likes learning them, likes teaching them. Then, after my time was finished in Taiwan, I moved back to Germany. I wasn't ready to move back to Canada yet. I never felt like I had enough time in Germany. I loved Munich, had some friends here, moved back. That was 7.5 years ago. And now, I'm never leaving. I love this place. Have you been to the beer gardens? We don't have that in Toronto. You know what we have? We have a little couple of chairs on the corner next to a 6-lane highway. That's where we drink on a sunny afternoon. Not here, I'm staying. So, once I moved back to Munich, life started to progress, as it always does. I met the love of my life, my beautiful Austrian princess, Lisa. We got engaged, we got married, our beautiful wedding up on top of a mountain. I got married on a mountain. That was awesome. And as marriage often comes, children. We had our first little girl about 2.5 years ago, Lily, beautiful little girl. And one thing that became obvious right from the start is that I wasn't quite sure if I would like fatherhood. I really loved teaching kids, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be a good dad because the skill set is very, very different, especially when you're a teacher and you can just give them back at the end of the day. You can't do that with fatherhood. I tried. But as I did more daddy stuff, I started to like it. It became a bigger part of my identity. Stuff like this, brushing your teeth every single night with your little girl. First it was a chore, now I enjoy it. At least on the days where Lily wants to actually brush her teeth. And I liked it so much that I let my wife have another child. Yeah, that was meant to be a joke. Nervous laughter. Yeah, so 3 weeks ago, little Teo came into the world. Yeah, aw is the appropriate reaction. Although he's screaming in that picture. That's actually the only picture I have of the two of them together. Isn't that unfortunate? I really got to get on that. So, being a dad, being a husband became more of my identity. And this is the flip side, though. What I used to do a lot of is traveling with my friends. I also used to be a tour guide. I would bring people around Oktoberfest. I would travel with my best friend a lot, and these things started to reduce. You know, as a parent, you have a little bit less time on your hands, and you have to start to choose which of your identities is most important to you. Do I go out drinking with the guys, or do I help my wife bring the babies to bed? And also, I used to, every year, organize a Scottish Robbie Burns night. Ask me afterwards, or you can ask my buddy Timmy there. You'll recognize him with the bottle of scotch in his hand. Yeah. I also helped to organize the St. Patrick's Day parade here in Munich. All of these things have been put aside. Now, they've shrunk in my identity. They're still there. I'd still love to do them again, but they're not as important. It's not a big part of my identity anymore. And that's very important to think of, that the things you do create who you are. And when you stop doing those things, it's harder to hold on to those as a big part of your identity. So, I became a little bit less of the things that I used to be. So that's who I am. Now we're going to get to who you are. And we're going to do this in a little bit of an activity format. Okay? Super easy. First thing is just a hands up sort of thing. Okay? We'll go through 4 phases. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an identity up here. And you put your hand up if you feel like you're even just a little bit of that thing. Okay? Nice and simple. We'll start with the first one. Put your hand up if you feel you are even a little bit of a sporty person. Sporty people here? Yep, most of you. Good. Okay, hands down. Second one. Hands up if you feel you're a healthy person. Good. Almost the same people. There's a surprise. Okay, good. Next one. Very important one for me. Hands up if you're an animal lover. Yeah, good. You're all my best friends now. Okay, so that's phase one. Phase two is a little bit more involved. Okay, instead of putting your hand up, what you're going to do now is give me a scale of 1 to 5. Okay, so 1 means you are not that thing at all. 2, a little bit. 3, you're a normal amount of that thing. 4, you're a lot. And 5, you are the most that thing of anyone in this room, which is a bold statement. Okay, so scale of 1 to 5, a happy person. Let's see it. Okay, we've got some 4s. We've got 1 5. That's fantastic. We've got a really happy person here. Talk to this woman after the show. Okay, good. We've got some 4s. I didn't see any 1s. Fantastic. Okay, next one. Scale of 1 to 5, how tech savvy you are. Every hand should be up. Should be just a scale of 1 to 5. Yep, some 3s. A lot of 3s, a 2, a 5. Very, okay. These people, they're your tech support. That is a networking opportunity right there. Okay, good. Last one, environmentally friendly. How environmentally friendly are you? Scale of 1 to 5. Yeah, okay, good. Couple of 5s. Very environmentally friendly people. Fantastic. So now, phase 3. Basically the same thing, but instead of 1 to 5, we're going to do 1 to 10. Okay? So we need more exact data when we're doing psychology experiments. That's what this is about. And this is really good for people where your coffee has not kicked in yet. We'll get some little exercise. We'll get the blood moving. Are you ready? Okay. Scale of 1 to 10. How creative are you? Let's see it. Think about it. Good. Yep. Do we have any 10s? We have a 9. She's doing this. Very, very creative people over here. This is the creative wing. Okay, good. Scale of 1 to 10. How much of a leader do you think you are? Okay, oh, we've got a 5. Interesting. So we've got kind of a 50-50 leadership sort of thing going on. Okay, last one. How much of a teacher do you believe you are? How much do you teach things to others? Even if it's not an official format, just you teach people other things. Okay, we're hovering around the 5 to 8 range in most. Okay, good. So now, last part, this is the part I really need your help with. So we're going to do kind of the scale of 1 to 5 thing again, but instead of with a hand, you're going to do it with your body. So just a little bit off your seat, that's a 1. A little bit more, 2. Halfway is a 3. 4 is standing up, and a 5 is with your hands in the air. This is a fantastic activity to do if you have user tests with small children. They love this thing. So we're going to be kids together, okay? Are you ready? So body scale of 1 to 5, get yourself ready. How curious are you? Let's see it. Ooh, we got some really curious people. I like how people kind of jump on the curious bandwagon. They're like, they're curious? I'm curious. Now we're all curious. Okay, good, sit. Next one. Body 1 to 5. How active are you? How much of an active person are you? Good, okay. I don't see anybody who's doing like the halfway thing. Maybe it's just a little bit. Couple of people with their hands in the air. Good, down you get. Last one. Scale of 1 to 5 with your body. How self-aware are you? You know who you are, you know what you are. We have a really self-aware person. She was up faster than anyone. Okay, good. Okay, good, more self-aware people. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I won't ask you to do that again. Give yourselves a hand, that was very wonderful. Make yourself feel good. Okay, so that was who you are. Now, who they are. Social identities are really, really important, okay? How people think of you, how people react to you. This is a really important part of your identity. So the next thing, a little bit of an activity as well. I'm just gonna put up a picture of a famous person. The first thing you're gonna do is shout out the name of that famous person. Now, these are exactly as easy as they appear to be. This is not a trick, okay? We'll go with the first one. Messy. Good. That should have all been in unison. It really should have been.
Sorry.
Next part is you're just going to shout out things you think Messi is. Adjectives like he's fast, he's funny, he's short, he's rich, he's cool, or things he does, football player, father, anything you can think of that Messi is, okay? Messi is, shout it out. Sporty, Argentinian, good. Smart, probably. Good. Married, yes. So these are all valid answers. What was that? Popular, yes, it's very, very popular. You've seen his Instagram feed? That man has more friends than is healthy. Yeah, so these are all social identities. You, I imagine, have never met Messi in person. Maybe you have, congratulations. But these are things that you have learned about the person from society. Important. Okay, next one. Shout out the name. That one was in unison. You know, that actually makes me feel really good that this one everyone said together instead of the sports star. That's a tuned in crowd. Okay, so finish the sentence. Michelle Obama is smart, empowered, brave, leader, strong woman, role model. Good, fantastic, all very positive identities. That's wonderful. Next one. A little bit of controversy. Oh. Why'd you have to bring her into this? Okay, so Angela Merkel is smart, pragmatic, sure. Say again? Sturdy, okay. Predictable. These can be good things or bad things. Calm, yes, definitely seems calm. What was that one? Role model, okay, can be, yes, absolutely. Thoughtful, good, all correct. Last one, should be an easy one. Who is it? Bill Gates, good. Bill Gates is? Now that one was almost in unison. Yes, he's very, very rich. Okay, other things, Bill Gates is? Smart, innovative, good, yes, all of these things, all very important. Social identities, the way people think of you, the way people react to you, are very important to how you create your own identity. And that's what we'll get into a little bit now. So we'll dip just a little bit into the theory of what makes an identity. Okay? An identity is primarily four things according to modern psychology. First is your individual identity, what you think you are, how you feel inside. Generally, the person you are when you're alone. Okay, that's a very important part, the thoughts you have inside your head. Second thing is the social identity, how people react to you, and then how you react to that. If you put an identity out there and you say, I am a creative person, and then when people see your creativity, they're like, you're not creative. Then you have to think to yourself, wait, are they wrong or am I wrong? It's a really important part of how you construct your identity. Next, biology. So your brain, your hormones, all the chemicals in your body, your DNA, all of this stuff is really important for creating who you are. And that's the trickier one because it's a lot harder to change. And the last thing is the one that we want to focus on. The things you do help to create who you are. And that's where we get to how to create an identity. Okay? So we're going to look at the methodology called identity architecture. What is it and how does it work? So identity architecture is a method for creating identities. Can be in groups of other people, so you're trying to get other people to be more of something. You can also use it for yourself as an individual. So if you want to be something, but you're not sure how to get there, identity architecture can help you. For our purposes, we're going to focus more on the group thing, but we can talk more about it later in the Q&A if you want to look more at the individual side. So it's a very, very simple methodology. First, you pick an identity that you would like to encourage. And then you pick the easiest, smallest action you could possibly think of, something that people cannot say no to. And then you ask people to do it. After that, you need to stay connected to those people, because that one simple action isn't going to do much. You have to build on it. You have to ask for bigger actions. So you ask for a small action, then a bigger one, then a bigger one, then a bigger one, then a bigger one. And all the while, you're doing these three things that are really important. Removing barriers, reminding them and socially nudging them. So removing barriers means you're making it as easy as possible for them to do that thing. Whatever it is, whatever action you've chosen, you have to make it as easy as possible, so it's really hard for them not to do it.
What do you mean with big action?
Action? We'll get to that. I'll get to an example of it. Yeah, right now, just quick through the theory, and then we'll get some concrete examples. Good? I like how tuned in you are. Reminding them, always keep it top of mind, and social nudging, which is a hard thing to explain, but I'll give you a quick example. Has anyone ever read the book Nudge? Anyone? A couple people, okay. In that book, they have a story about the nudge unit from the English government. So the British government, they were having trouble getting people to pay their taxes on time. Only about 60–70% of people actually paid them on time. So they did something very simple. They sent a letter to every single person, and they said, in that letter, in your region, 70% of people pay their taxes on time. Now, these statistics were correct, but all it did was let people know that the majority of people were paying them on time. Just from that one simple action, they got from 60–70% up over 90%. Because now the people who weren't paying them all the time, on time, they couldn't say, everyone pays them late. They couldn't say that anymore. Now they're thinking, I'm the jerk who's not paying them on time. I need to get on this. That's social nudging. It's a really powerful tool. So now let's get into a little example. But before we do, you might be surprised to hear this, but you have already been part of an identity architecture experiment. The first thing I asked you to do was put your hand up. The second thing was a slightly more complex action. Not very big, just one little upgrade. Then the next thing, we upgraded again. 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 5. And then we got you to stand up, even put your hands up in the air. Now, what are the chances, do you think, that as soon as I came in here, I said, okay, we're going to do activity number 4, and you're going to stand up and put your hands in the air? Maybe all of you do it, maybe you don't. What identity architecture does is helps to increase the probability that more people will do it. This is not a catch-all. It will not guarantee you that everyone will become what you want them to be, but it will significantly increase the probability. If you start small and you build slowly. Okay? So it worked. It worked on you guys. So now a little example, okay? Something that everyone can understand, keeping your office kitchen clean. So we go for the smallest action possible. You go around to all of your teammates, and all you want is for them to say one sentence. You want them to agree that keeping the office kitchen clean is important. Who is going to say no to that? You're not asking them to do anything. You're just saying, we want you to agree that this is important. That's step 1. Next, you have to go and ask people to say this thing. And I really like stickers, but there's a lot of different ways to remind people about this little campaign that you're running. So you go and you attach the sticker. Now, helpful is attaching the sticker for them. If you just give them the sticker, maybe they stick it, maybe they don't. You might get 30 or 40%. Not good enough. But if you stick it yourself, now you can choose the rules of your own campaign. You can say, sorry, we have to stick it ourselves so we know that it happens. Where would you like me to stick this sticker? They say, okay, right there next to my computer, I'll see that every day. Good. Nice and easy for them. Of course they're going to support you. You're a nice person. You're a nice person. So next, social reinforcement. This is the next really important part. Now people are going to see that sticker, and they might ask them about it and say, what's that? And now the person has a chance to confirm or reject this new identity. They can say, oh, we're trying to keep our kitchen more clean. Now they've taken one more step into that identity. Or they can say, it's just something my colleagues are doing, I don't really care. But the sticker's still there. It's going to keep reminding them. And then you get the next really important part, the stay connected bit, the social nudging. So you send out an email or a message to everyone, and you say, thank you, everyone who took the sticker and stuck it. Now, if you can get 100% in a small team of like 10 people, that's totally doable. Now, even the people who, They didn't really want to take part. Now they know they're the minority, and everybody else is on board. Now that's the next step into becoming more of that identity. Okay? Then you ask for a slightly bigger action. So an example of this would be something like, maybe you're cleaning the kitchen all the time. It's really annoying. You clean the whole thing except for 2 cups. You leave the 2 cups there. You're walking out the door and you say, oh, sorry, there's still 2 cups sitting out in the kitchen. Would you mind putting those in the dishwasher? And that person says, sure. It's nice and small. We're trying to keep the kitchen clean. I can do that. They go and do it. And then you tell everyone in the team, thank you, Katja, for putting away those 2 cups. We really appreciate it. And you remind them of the little sticker on their desk. Now there, Katja's example makes it more likely that other people are going to do it on their own. It doesn't guarantee it, but it makes it more likely. And you keep creating bigger actions until eventually people are just cleaning this thing themselves. They feel like they are that type of person, and they want to keep doing it. Then you don't have to intervene at all anymore. So that's a very, very small example. Okay? So last, we'll get into a little quick story about how I did this in Taiwan. Kaohsiung, Taiwan is where I moved to. If you don't know where Taiwan is, that's it, the little island right there. That's like maybe 1/3 the size of Bavaria. It's right across the South China Sea from Hong Kong. This is Kaohsiung. Kaohsiung is the 2nd largest city. Greater Kaohsiung is about 4.5 million people. It's known as being a very blue-collar worker sort of city, lots of factories, but it can also be very beautiful. This beach, those buildings back there, that's the university I went to when I first started learning Mandarin. I liked Kaohsiung so much, I decided to take my wife there and show her how much I liked it. And that beach opens up to the South China Sea. It's stunning to watch the sunsets over that beach. But a little bit further down that beach, this is what you see. Also, once you get inside the city, this was the view from my first apartment. Beautiful blue skies. Only because a typhoon had just come through days before. Swept all the pollution out. This is what it looks like on a normal day. Looks like soup. It was disgusting, especially for someone like me who grew up in small town Canada, where I would wake up to bluebirds on my windowsill. So I wanted to do something about it. I started an organization called the KHH Enviros. It was very simple at the beginning, just a bunch of expats doing some beach cleanups. But we started partnering with local organizations. The Youth Knowledge Network was a student organization. They had loads of volunteers, but not really any experience planning environmental campaigns. So we started to help them out. And we did this campaign called the Greenhead Campaign. The Greenhead Campaign, it was stickers. That's why I love stickers. They stick there, they go where you go if you put them on your computer, and they're really hard to get off. So what we did is we went to very busy corners inside of the city. They all had their student uniforms on, which is great because it means people will instantly trust you and they know that you're not trying to sell them anything. That helped a lot. And we go up to them and get them to agree that we need to protect the environment. And we're doing that first by putting these stickers on our scooters. Okay? Something that they probably can't really say no to. So this is how it went. Smallest action, we have to protect the environment, right? Of course. Everyone will say yes as long as you're not asking them to do anything. Next, we put the sticker on their scooter for them. Now we knew that if we just give them the sticker, probably it never makes it onto their scooter. Their scooters are also dirty as sin. So those fall off really, really easily. So we had our students with little spray bottles and little wash things. They would wash the scooter a little bit and then stick the sticker wherever they wanted it, removing barriers. Then, social reinforcement. In Taiwan, there are more scooters than there are people. In fact, twice as many scooters are on the island of Taiwan than there are people. There's about 50 million scooters and only about 24 million people. So scooters are everywhere. And the odd thing I thought was nobody really put stickers on them the way we put bumper stickers on our cars in Canada and the United States. So I thought, this is a moving billboard. And it's also a really social thing for kids, because you can get a scooter really, really young, and it's an easy way to move around the city. So when your friends see that sticker on your scooter, they're going to ask about it. And then you have your chance to confirm that identity or to reject it. You still can't get the sticker off. So then, you keep in touch. You remind them about it. You socially nudge them. You tell them, we had 500 people sign up. You're not the only one. It wasn't just 10 or 20 people. 500 people think this is important. You're now part of that 500 people. Then you ask for a bigger action. So something still small, asking them to share it on social media. We would send them free stickers if they wanted, send it directly to their house. They could distribute them any way they wanted. And we kept going. Asked them to come out to events, asked them to volunteer and help us out. And because of all of that, from a very, very small beginning, the Greenhead campaign lasted for 8 years. I actually only stayed with it for 2. But the things that we taught those students, they ran with that. And it expanded and it grew. They did mentorship programs, they did art shows, they did community gardening, or organic gardening, in fact. They did big conferencing events and things like that. So one might say that it was a success. Now, did it change the identity of every single person in Kaohsiung? Probably not. But the people who are involved in that Greenhead campaign, a lot of them have gone on to do things that are environmentally friendly in their work, in their spare time, and that created an identity inside them that they will not easily let go of. That is identity architecture. So now, what do you do? How do you take this information and use it? Pretty simply, the first thing you need to think of is, do I want to change other people, or do I want to change myself? Now, the process of change, your identity, is going to happen whether you like it or not. Change happens over life. And most people don't think that they're going to change who they are. Really interesting experiment was done one time where they asked people who are around 25 years old. They said, how much do you think you're going to change in the next 10 years? And all of them said, I'm pretty much the person I'm always going to be. I'm really set. And then they asked a whole bunch of 35-year-olds, how much do you think you changed from 25 to 35? And they're like, oh, I'm a completely different person. But how much do you think you're going to change in the next 10 years? I'm pretty set now. I'm good. I've got my ways. Then they go and ask 45-year-olds, how much did you change from 35 to 45? I am a completely different person. But how much do you think you're going to change from 45 to 55? I'm pretty set. I'm good. So this process is going to happen whether you like it or not. You might as well get inside it and help it along so that you become more of the person that you want to be. Identity architecture can help you with that. You can run your own little personal campaign, nudging yourself socially, taking away barriers from yourself. If you want to be more interesting, if you want to be more creative, if you want to be more sporty, more environmentally friendly, this is an easy way to get yourself to do it. The other thing is, if you want to change other people, start thinking about what you would like them to be and help them along. Identity architecture provides a framework for that. So now, we've come to the end of the talk, not of you. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that I was able to show you something that you might be able to use in your life. If you are interested in this sort of stuff, please stay in touch. You can take a picture of that. I'll leave it up for a while. I also have some business cards on that little table right next to the door. Feel free to take one. If you would like to run a campaign and you would like some help, I'm happy to provide a little bit of feedback and things like that. Or if you would like me to give a talk at your organization or your work, I'm also very happy to do that. I love public speaking. You can tell, huh? It's written all over my face. Here is where I come alive. So, also you can follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you try and connect with me on LinkedIn, just tell me that it was from Creative Mornings. That way I don't think that you're a stalker. A business stalker. Is that even a thing?
Definitely.
It's definitely a thing. Okay, good. So, thank you again. I really appreciate your time and attention, and that's the end of my talk today.
Thank you so much, Timo. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this gives you some food for thought. I think that we all can get very much inspired. I got some inspiration as well about just interacting, and I think Timo tricked us in a very nice way from, just putting our hands up to actually getting up and standing. So great job. Now I would like to open the floor to questions. So that if you have any kind of things that resonate with you, that you want to dig a little bit deeper into, now the time is yours. I will be passing the microphone around so that everyone can hear it, okay? There was a question in the front.
Hi, thanks for the talk. It was very, very nice and helpful.
Success.
One question, why did you put English text on the stickers and not Mandarin?
It was because the website needed to be in English. You can't make a website in Chinese Mandarin. That was it. And people in Taiwan, they all have to learn English in school. So green head, they know those words. So we didn't have to, and also it's actually kind of trendy to make a campaign. I see that here. See? Yeah. So English can be trendy because people think, ooh, it's something different. That's what we were going for at least, but that was the reason why.
There are questions? There, at the back.
I don't know if you need the microphone.
That's not a question, but I think the method that you are talking about, the small action and then a bit bigger and then a bit bigger, could be really big hints for me, because at the moment I'm living in Munich almost a year and a half, and then struggling about really finding friends. I'm like socializing almost everywhere, like participating in lots of events. But I think, yes, this is something that it's true. So it's small steps makes people to be more comfortable, and then could be at the end make even a best friendship out of it. Mm-hmm. Because what I do, I'm like, I want people to, hey, come, let's be friends. And then I think, as you said, could be a big activity that people, they haven't been through these small steps. So thank you for that. It's like
You're very welcome, and you're very correct. Anyone who's moved somewhere new, quick show of hands actually, who of you is not from Munich? Most of you. So here's a lot of people who know exactly what you're talking about. Struggling to find people to hang out with can be a really tough thing when you move to a new city. And sometimes a good thing to do is every time you go to an event, just ask yourself to do something a little bit bigger. So if you're a really shy person and you're trying to interact with new people, just go and talk to one person. All it has to be is one sentence. Haha, nice cheese, and then walk away. Okay, then next time, make it a little bit bigger. Nice cheese. And steal the cheese from their plate. I don't know. Make it a little bit bigger every time so that you're working your way up to actually stopping, having a conversation with a person, and then asking for their contact info, and then meeting them later on. So yeah, build up. Good observation.
Okay. I have a question where you said if you want to change someone. I just don't think I have the right to change anybody, and I don't want to change people because I like them the way they are. But I am the type of person that if I see someone doing something that I know it's not good for them, and they do tell me it's not good for them, I do want to help them. And I try to sneak it in, but it's really like complicated for some of them. Some of them try, and some just say, no, I can't do it, and they just put that barrier. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to try with the little things. I've been experimenting, but I also always feel a bit guilty, like, do I really need to do this? I feel bad. I'm not supposed to change that person, but I do want to help them. So I'm like struggling with that thought.
And this is a really good point, and I'm actually glad you brought this up. So anything like this can be used for good things or for bad things. And you have to choose what you want your level of involvement to be. Now, no one is saying that you have to do it without their knowledge. You can go and ask them if they want help becoming the person that they want to be. and help them by showing them that they're not alone, that there's other people trying to become this identity. Let's bring those people together. A lot of this is things like modern day weight loss. So I'm from North America. You've all heard the stereotypes that we just keep getting bigger. And there's a lot of research that goes into how do you get people to do the thing that they already want to do, but can't seem to be able to do it. And identity architecture is one way of helping people like that. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with changing people without their knowledge, then don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. If you feel like you're doing something wrong, don't do it. But if you feel like you're doing something that everyone has already kind of agreed to, like keeping the kitchen clean, but just no one's doing it, I feel like that's an easy win. Protecting the environment, you're going around and asking people if they want to protect the environment. They can always say no. But if they say yes, you're helping them along to become more of that person. But it's a judgment call. And each person needs to judge for themselves how involved they want to be in other people's lives. So be careful when you're making that judgment. And be honest with people if you feel that you are not quite sure if you're doing something that you should be doing. Okay? Bring them into the process.
Maybe we will take the last two questions, so here in the front, and then you can already think whether you would like to take
hand up
part.
a little bit before,
Again?
actually.
Oh, sorry, I haven't seen you. Okay, the three questions, and you can already think whether you would be interested in the speed networking session. So let's go 1, 2, 3. Okay, go.
Hi. So I was thinking about corporate identity because I work in a B2B sector and we were talking about personal identity right now. But in terms of a corporate identity, I really am very curious about also other methods because this was only one method that you presented today. Can you give me an example of other methods that I could think of when implementing a strategy for a company, for example?
Sure. So a really good example came from Netflix. They're kind of the kings of this at the moment. Is one thing they did right from a very, very early point in their company, when they were still very, very small, they were a startup company. They started a process where they got everyone involved in figuring out who are we? What kind of company are we? What kind of people are we? What do we expect from the people coming in? They made something called the Netflix culture deck. And this is everywhere on the internet now. Anytime you put up a search for corporate identity or how to make a corporate identity, one of the first things that pops up is articles about how Netflix did this. So that's one place you could start. And what they did was they basically said in the culture deck, a lot of companies nowadays, they want to feel like a family. We don't want that. A family loves you no matter what you do. A family loves you when you fail. We don't. We are not a family. We are a high-performance sports team. You're here to help us, but then when you're no longer helping us, we will do everything in our power to make sure that you move on to the next thing. And really interesting, the woman who sort of pioneered this to get it filtering in through the company, one of their first hires, the HR person, eventually they asked her to go. And that was an amazing experience for her. It was a podcast interview I listened to about that she talked about that process. But creating the expectations. And basically how they did it is continuously through their growth, they would be asking people, is what we have here at this culture deck still true? Is it still true for Netflix? Does it still help guide us to make the decisions that we want to make to create the sort of company we want to be? And if it isn't, they changed it. So that's another methodology. I don't want to get into the absolute specifics, but it's basically now they go team by team by team. Each team has their own culture deck, and Netflix has their own culture deck as a whole, so that you have different cultures working inside of each other. But that's a great place to start. They're on the cutting edge of that.
Just to say something about the topic she just mentioned, the bad feeling we have if you want to change somebody. I just wanted to say I would even willingly change somebody if they are not environmentally friendly, even if it's against his or her own beliefs. And I've seen a couple of people who are willingly not economically friendly.
Yeah, and this is part of how society moves forward, is there are trends in society where there are laggards and people where it becomes clear that a majority of people want this, need this, and there are still people with their feet dug in. You have to find a way of bringing those people along if you want your society to, modernize, to become better. It's a very hard judgment call to make, which is why it's probably not, at least on a large scale, it's probably not best left to an individual to make. That's basically an autocracy, a dictatorship. Don't want that. But this sort of thing, a good example is recycling. Recycling was one of the first, not identity architecture campaigns, but it was a predecessor called community-based social marketing. And that was basically marketing to people so that they create sustainable behaviors. Now, the original idea of recycling, I'm going to go rifling through my trash and sort my trash out. That's disgusting. Why would I do that? That was the original thought when people heard about the idea of recycling. Nowadays, it's just normal. Now, there was a lot of people who didn't want to do this. There are people today who still don't want to do this, but they do it because now it's normal, it's expected, and it's better for society. That's pretty much a clear fact. So these judgment calls, sometimes you need a larger decision-making body to do that sort of thing. Sometimes it can be individuals. Again, you have to make that judgment call for yourself. How much are you going to be involved in other people's lives? Choose carefully. Thank you for that. Was there one last one?
Yeah. Speaking about environment, do you do something in Munich, like the Green Hats or something else that we can join or that we can be inspired by?
I actually don't anymore.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm sorry. That it was actually part of the identity that I still have it as my goal to reconnect with that. But at the moment, I'm focusing on family and I'm focusing on career. So these are judgments. I only have a certain amount of time, and I'm trying to spend as much time with my kids while they're young because I understand that that doesn't happen again. So, and I'm really, really enjoying that time. Now, when they get a little bit older, they get a little bit more independent, I fully expect to get back into that part of my life because it's something I really value. In fact, my dream job is doing this sort of work, but for an environmental organization. I actually did some work with the United Nations Climate Change Accords, and I still have a lot of friends who are into that. So maybe one day, 2 or 3 years down the line, I'll ring them up and say, what are you doing? Can I be a part of it? And at first, it'll probably just be volunteering in my spare time, but who knows, maybe it'll turn into a job. So it's still in there, but it's a smaller part of my identity right now. So unfortunately, I don't have a specific place for you to go, but figure out what part of environmentalism you want to be a part of, and then just go find a group that's doing it. And if you can't find one, go create one. So I can
And then
guarantee
in
you.
case Timo gets back to this and creates something great here, we will make sure that we invite him for the next talk so that
Sure.
he can spread the word further on.
In about 13 years.
In about 30 years.
Who knows?
So I would stop it here. I have a few slides just to share. First of all, thank you so much, Timo. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. I think it was a great discussion. We would totally continue this even later on if you want to hang out a little bit later. But actually, I would like Timo to introduce the speed networking now. And let's see then, with the show of hands and everything, if we are doing it or not, if there is enough candidates for this to go ahead or not. So maybe, Timo, would you like to say a few words about this?
Sure. So we had this speed networking idea that kind of goes in with the identity idea. The whole part of it is you get these 3 cards, okay? You have an aspirational identity, so this is something you personally want to be more of, okay? If you want to be more environmentally friendly, you write that on the card. There's a professional identity, so something at work that you want to be more of. Let's say you want to be more of a leader at work, or you want to be more involved in the design process at work. You want to be more of a creative person at work. You would put that on the card, okay? And then a personal identity. So this is something that you are right now that you want to be more of, okay? So the aspirational identity and the personal identity, they're close. The personal identity is you already are that, and you want to be more. The aspirational identity is you're not that at all, and you want to become that. Okay? So you get these 3 cards, you write down your 3 identities. Then you go and you sit down in front of someone, 3 cards on the table. She gets to choose which card I'm going to talk about from my identity. So let's say she chooses my professional identity. We flip it up, I show her, and it's, I don't know, leader. Okay? Then I tell her in 2 quick minutes what I feel I am and what I would like to be as far as leader is concerned. Then I choose one of her cards, let's say the aspirational identity. She talks with me for 1 minute, 2 minutes about her aspirational identity, and then we move. So that's the speed networking idea. Now, as Katja said, we want to have a minimum of 10 people to do it. And of course, not as many people came today because of the whole virus situation, but we'll keep you socially distanced. Okay, so can I get a quick show of hands? Who is interested in doing this? Hands up now if you want to. Hands all the way up in the air, please, none of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we will do it. Balint, where are we going to do it? Okay.
We will set up the space over here, so be a little bit patient. This will take a very short time. For those of you who need to head off, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming despite this situation. I hope that this also took your mind off the whole coronavirus discussions. Be safe. And then stay tuned about our next events. We are considering of taking them online for the next months, weeks. We will see how this all will be happening. So do make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter in case you are not receiving it yet, because this is the way how we will be communicating. When you leave, you can still hang out a little bit in the breakfast area. Timo will also head there for a short time, so if you want to ask him any kind of questions, don't hesitate to do so. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you, Timo, again. Thank you, all the sponsors, and have a great, happy Friday.